Hey everyone, how are you? I'm excited to be kicking off this 2019 with a brand new show sponsor. Very excited to welcome Joseph Meyer Club to the show. If you haven't heard about Joseph Meyer Club, head on over to josephmeyerclub.com right now and check it out. They have a great product, this aftershave that I've been using. And it's really comes in a nice container, and it's got this foaming tip on it, just a little bit in your hand, and it's nice and clean. You know, if you ever used the liquid ones before, you can kind of make a mess, but this is real clean and really easy to use, and smells awesome too. That's a really nice thing about it. So, let alone is it moisturizing and alcohol based, so it helps heal up your skin if you happen to have any nicks and stuff, but smells great too. And right now, to let you try it, they're going to let you get 20% off for all my Rock Paper Podcast listeners. So at checkout, mention RPPJMC20 for 20% off. Again, RPPJMC20 at josephmeyerclub.com. And there's always free shipping, so keep that in mind. And tell them Shane sent you. Hey everybody, Shane Presley here with Rock Paper Podcast. Let me tell you about my friends at Naked Vine, located at 1624 Clarkson Road in Chesterfield, Missouri, serving up all your favorite wine, whiskey, tequila, and local craft beers. Swing by and visit them this weekend. February 1st, one of my personal favorites, Cluster Pluck, is back at Naked Vine. And then on February 2nd, Melody Den will be out there on Saturday night. So, mark your calendar for those shows. Full events and details can be found at nakedvine.net. And mark your calendar also, February 12th, I return to Naked Vine with my singer-songwriter storytelling showcase, bringing along my good friends Ryan Chaney, Matt Hall, and Gabe Stroop. And that'll be a $5 cover, 7 o'clock show. Do not miss out on that one. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Can't wait to see you guys there. Again, everything at nakedvine.net. Be sure to follow along with them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And get out and support local live music. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show.
Podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
This is Justin Mills with Mills Custom Music Company, and you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with Justin Mills of Mills Custom Music Company.
How's it going?
Hey man, good. Thanks for having me out here. This is exciting to get to catch up and get to officially meet you. We've kind of been friendly online a little while now. We have a bunch of mutual friends that you've been working with. So your name's come up on a few different episodes and stuff. And I was like, well, I kind of want to get to know a little bit more about you and what you've been up to and stuff. And so this is a great opportunity with this show. It allows me to do that kind of stuff and invite people and hang out and like get to talk and stuff. So thanks for doing this.
Right on.
This you were telling me just a little bit off mic there that you're not originally from St. Louis. We were kind of talking about the snow and all that. You said you just recently, or you're still newer to St. Louis.
I actually moved here a little over 3 years ago from South Florida area where I lived. Like I lived in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, like that whole area, about 3.5 years ago, I needed a central location for this company because shipping stuff out of Miami is really expensive to the rest of the country. So I decided to make it to make more of a central location for the country. And I was originally planning on moving to Chicago, but the guy that started the business with me, Jared, suggested we move to St. Louis, and I took it was more of a whim thing where I took a look at real estate prices out here, and I was like, yep, going there.
Right. Yeah.
So it's so far I've been very, very, very happy with that choice. I love it here. It's a great town.
So strictly for business, and right? Like it wasn't.
Yeah, originally it was just for business. I didn't know anybody out here. I just kind of was like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go out there.
I think that's why a lot of people do stay here in St. Louis too. Like as far as musicians and artists and stuff, because there is a lot of, the cost of living is a lot more affordable than heading to the coast and stuff and all that, and like so it does make it nice where you can afford to be a working musician around town and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, if I hadn't chosen this town, I don't think I would have been able to do this company for as long as I've been able to do it. Furthermore, it's just a great location. Like for, you're so close to so many different places, and like being from South Florida, like getting out of the state takes 10, 12 hours.
Right.
So here you can go to, Kentucky, you can go to Nashville, you can go to Chicago. There's so many places that are like 4 hours away.
Right.
So it's been really cool living out here. I've gotten to see a lot of different cities, meet a lot of really cool people, and I'm really, really happy with the decision to move here.
Yeah. So you started. So we started Mills Custom Music Company in South Florida. You had a partner, you said, that you started with, and
he's still involved. He's his name's Jared. He's in the band Staghorn, who is pretty prolific, like national DIY touring band. We kind of came up with this idea together and moved forward.
Was it just? I guess you mentioned being a musician. I'm guessing like playing and decided start trying your hand at making your own amps, or
yeah. Well, the way that it started was I really wanted to get into making my own effects pedals when I was younger, probably around 17, 18, maybe early 20s. It's been a while ago, so I don't really remember the exact time frame, but I made a few pedals, and it went fine, and just stuff that's already out there. One day I was kind of not happy with the amp that I had, and I decided, I could probably make one of these, and I kind of just went through some schematics and kind of came up with an idea of what I needed, and I made a pretty basic amp, like a Fender Bassman with an effects loop, and it was good. And then as soon as I did that, I got the bug, man, and I was like, I just started really getting into the whole amp making idea, and it just kind of went downhill from there. Well, not downhill, I guess. It just picked up speed from there, and now I've got 5 unique circuits that aren't copies of anything, So my whole concept was, after getting out of that whole DIY ethos, was to make something that was good quality and a good sound quality and affordable for musicians wanting to get outside of your big 3, Vox, Fender, Marshall amps, that wanted something maybe a little different but didn't want to spend $5,000 on something that was a little different. So all of my prices compete with those bigger name brands, but sometimes they're cheaper. So I just wanted to, like I said, make something that was unique and attainable.
Yeah.
For musicians, and I think I've done a pretty good job of that, of keeping the price down while constantly improving the product.
Right. And so far, everything is all kind of one-off kind of stuff. I mean, are you making a lot of custom? Like you're saying, obviously the name's custom, but it's all somebody will come to you and want you to build something, or you build it and then you try to sell it, or how's that?
Right now, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's mostly a build-to-order thing where, I mean, we offer, a certain amount of specific models that you can buy, and you can customize the aesthetics for, increase in price. But mostly it's somebody will hit me up and be like, hey, I want this 100-watt amp that you make. And I'm like, all right, cool. So they place a deposit, and I build it and then ship it off.
Yeah. That I guess I think one of the first times I started taking notice to the name was through Gaslight. There was some of those like playthrough videos. I think with Dave Anderson was playing through one of your amps, I believe, on and Matt McElrath shot the video and all this stuff. So I think that's where I first started taking notice to the name, and then. I know Brother Lee and the Leather Jackals are mutual friends, and Josh has talked about your amps a lot and stuff. So that's kind of what it was. It was a bunch of friends started talking about what the work you've been doing. So so it's cool to see like a bunch of my friends around town that are using your equipment and stuff. And
yeah, I had such a warm reception in this town, and it which contributed to me liking the place, obviously, but. Yeah, I mean, it's just been, St. Louis has been really great to me. So, there's a lot of musicians that are, notable in the city that own pieces of the gear. And, I couldn't be happier about that. Yeah. So.
I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way, but like I feel, I got those. I gave you some too with the stickers. I start seeing those stickers like around on like guitar cases or whatever, and I get just like whenever I see them around, and especially stuff I didn't put on or something. Somebody in the band or whatever they got on their guitar case or on the bathroom wall or whatever it is. Like just start seeing my name around like that. Like it just makes me very proud that to be a part of this in some way. But I'm sure like when you go to a show or whatever it is, or you see the videos and you see somebody's got. Their Mills amp on the stage there, and like that's got to make you feel incredibly proud.
Yeah, it's definitely a great feeling, and just to have so many people have a good opinion of them right. is really a great feeling too. It's validating, It's like I spend a lot of time doing this, and sometimes putting in 16, 17, 18 hours a day working on this stuff, and to have people appreciate that kind of hard work that you do is it's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes you want to keep doing it, So
yeah. So what all does Mills Custom Music Company entail? Like you got like I said, we mentioned the amps. You said you started with pedals. Are you still doing pedals?
I don't really do pedals that much anymore. If I do a pedal, it's more of like just a personal thing for me. It's not something that I don't really think that I can compete in that market. It's there's so many small pedal companies out there, and everybody's doing great work. And it's like I do have a working knowledge of that stuff, but I think that. I really focused on amplifiers once I got into that. So all these cool like fuzz pedals and delay pedals that you see coming out. It's not something that I really can compete with.
Right.
So I kind of try to shy away from that. But one thing that we also do very well is cabinets. Guitar and bass cabinets. I'm primarily a bass player in a couple bands around town, and I was really fascinated with the way bass equipment is constructed and designed, because it's completely different than guitar. So I started making stuff for myself, and it took a little while to perfect, but as of right now, like I think I make some really, really good bass gear that's really competitive with stuff that's out there on the market, and has our unique look. But so mainly amps and cabs is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I was kind of noticed, I don't know, you were saying kind of the unique look. Like, I noticed a lot of them are real thin. Like, it seems like
I don't know, and then like I think it was it I think Sean might even said something too about the weight and stuff, that they're very very lightweight and things too. So like Sean Kimball, I think, is he playing?
Yeah, he's got a bass cab. He's got a 215 bass cab, and yeah, that was when I made cabinets. When I went to go make cabinets, my number one end goal was lightweight. I wanted to be lightweight, but you know, with bass stuff, if you make it lightweight, you're making it smaller. So you have to kind of do a balancing act to find that good sound, that good, you know, thumping sound, while maintaining a light weight. And I do that with experimenting with port sizes and stuff. And you know, at this point, I've found like the good combinations for all the different sizes that I make. And but yeah, that's like one thing that I really wanted. I really wanted out of stuff that I designed, was it to be easy to transport. So, like I said, I think that's another thing that I've achieved.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man. Like I said, I think with all these guys raving about it, because I don't know anything about. Like, I wish I could ask a lot more, but like I don't know anything about that world like at all. Like I don't play. I'm just a big fan. So
right on.
But like I said, that's why I wanted. That's why kind of the fun of this too is like getting to sit down and get to learn more about it. Because like I said, that's a lot of fun of the show, is just learning about what all these people are doing. Like it's, I really admire it, and I think it's a fascinating thing. Like, but I imagine like you're saying, like it's just a lot of that trial and error. I'm sure, right? Like starting with there's trying to figure it out, what we're switching out different components and things.
Yeah, there's you know, you don't just go into it blind. There's a lot of pretty intensive math that goes into it, and beforehand you can kind of you know, see where you're going to start, you know, and you have a pretty good idea of where you're at before you even build anything. But with cabinets, you need to get as close as you possibly can, because once you have that piece built, it's done. You know, you can't really, you know, mess with it that much. So it's actually pretty funny, because you know, math was never a strong subject for me until I started doing this, and I found a way that I could apply mathematics, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense now.
Yeah.
So you know, that's a big part of it, is kind of like the conceptualizing of it. You know, it's like I'll be sitting in bed like watching a movie, and then like, you know, just out of nowhere I'll have this idea, and like then I'll just go down a rabbit hole and miss the whole movie, you know. So but yeah, that's it's a little trial and error, but you know, mostly I know where I'm at before I start.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it makes for a pretty interesting process. Sure. You know.
So how long were you, you know, but you said you were playing and like kind of started getting the idea of wanting to kind of start building your own. How long were you doing this before you kind of made it your gig, your full-time?
You know, I didn't, it wasn't really my full-time thing until I moved here.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really like supporting me until I moved here. But, you know, it was kind of like my side hustle for a while.
Sure.
And so I would say I've been doing it at this point for about 6 years in total, and my company's been around for about 3.5, 4. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. Mm-hmm. Like to think that you're like already in that amount of time and to get to where you already are, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been messing with gear since I was, you know, like I said at the beginning, like late teens. So it's just this particular, you know, endeavor I've been doing for about 4 years. Yeah. So
do you get around to do you do like as a big part of what you do as far as the sales part of it and things and showcase, like do you go around a lot of the different conventions and different stuff like that, or?
I actually haven't really gotten into that yet, but most of my business comes from word of mouth and the internet. So we have a pretty decent reputation out there, and people hit me up and are like, hey, I was thinking about this, and I was like, all right, well, I can get you that. So and we do a lot of business nationally that way. It's gearing up for those trade shows is a huge endeavor, and I just when I go there, I want it to be like an arrival. I want it to be like, okay, we're here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get like a little table like off in the cut somewhere where I'm there paying the money and not really getting anything out of it. I want to be able to show up to these places and be like, all right, this is our booth. This is what we have to offer, and I want to go there and make a statement and leave a memory at those places. So
yeah, absolutely.
Even if it's just a smaller version of it, I just I obviously am not going to be competing with Marshall and Fender at those places, but to be able to go there and have a presence is kind of something I'm waiting on.
Right. That's what I think is kind of fun about like that. I mean, regardless of what it is, I mean everybody knows, like you say, Marshall and Fender and all the big names and stuff, but like I think there's a lot of people out there looking for something different and looking for more personal experiences and stuff, and having that one-on-one with you and having to be able to build something brand,
it's also like a customer service thing. It's
right.
like if you have an issue with one of the big companies, it's gonna take forever to get that resolved. And
exactly,
if you have an issue with something from me, I'm gonna get it fixed in a week. So also, like, I think it's really interesting to me, because I've always been an artist, and it's interesting to me being on the other side of that art. Instead of creating art, I'm creating the tools to make art, and I think that's something that's really through all the the ups and downs of having this company. I think that's what's really kept me moving forward, is just that idea. Is that I'm making a unique tool that other people can use to express themselves, and I think that's really, really, unique and cool.
Yeah.
So
definitely, man. I ask. That's kind of the crazy. Like you think about how many people that can impact. Let alone like one guy can buy your amp and play or whatever, but maybe like he plays out a show and some other kid sees that and like that's what he wants to do, and it's just like that whole ripple effect that you can kind of put into it all, and like and inspire a whole new generation of kids that want to play and different stuff. So
yeah, and being a player myself, it's the gear that you're using is inspiration in itself. The sound that you're getting out of it will make you kind of come up with something different than playing out of this amp over here and this guitar setup and these pedals, and everything kind of gives you a different texture. And I think being a part of that concept is really humbling to me. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, I'm helping somebody flesh out their vision.
Yeah.
And that's really what's cool to me about this whole process. So
yeah. Well, you can find Mills Custom Music Company on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we so you said that's mostly where you do a lot of your business through. So if people can come, they can message you through there and contact you, and you can you can see all the pictures and all the different work you've been up to on the Instagram and stuff. So get involved on there. Like going forward, like what would you like to continue? I mean, obviously, you're saying you want to make to those trade shows one of these days and stuff and all that. But like, do you look to expand the brand as far as adding more, different things, or is there stuff you think about like that?
I'm always thinking of new stuff to do.
Right.
So like, whether it be like new models or like how I can reach more people. Right now, I've got 5 different amp heads that I sell, 2 bass, 3 guitar, and any sort of cabinet that you can think of, I build. And that's kind of where the custom moniker comes in. Is that we can make things look any way you want, and any speaker cab configuration that you can think of, I can usually make it happen. So that's one thing that I want to continue to do. I have a concept for a high gain guitar amp, like a metal amp, that I'm planning on fleshing out sometime this year. But that's gonna, high gain is the hardest thing to do. High gain and bass, those are the hardest things to design. There's so many variables that go into it, so getting something that has a unique texture and a unique feel versus what's already out there is something that is difficult. But as soon as I get some time to like sit down and focus on it, I'll have it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But as far as expansion is concerned, we've partnered up with the Gaslight brand just recently, so we're going to be moving forward with that in 2019 and trying to get onto a bigger, national stage that way.
Yeah, they've been doing a lot of good things over there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's cool, man. I'm excited and to see what happens for you. And like I said, all my friends, I'm sure feel the same way, since they are happily talking about you everywhere they go too. So
yeah.
But let's. I kind of want to get into. You mentioned some of the stuff about being a musician, and you do play around town a little bit with. You said Bounce House and.
Yeah, I'm in a pop group, synth pop group called Bounce House, where I play bass, and it's something that always comes up in conversation because I play in a band where there are no guitar players, so I'm a sucker for pop music, and I've always been kind of into heavier bands, playing heavier rock music, and I recently I was just like, oh well, I actually really like pop music. Let's see what happens. Let's try to do something with that. And my partner Corey and her brother started a band, and with her brother Cody and his roommate Jonathan had started playing together, and they needed another piece. So I was like, I'll play bass.
Yeah.
So then it's been good so far. I'm really happy with the way the band's taking shape. We're gonna be releasing our first record in March. On March. I'm not sure about the date yet, but we recorded over at Bird Cloud Studios with Ryan Wasaba.
Yeah.
And he's great, and he made the process so fun and so easy just to like get the takes that we needed, and it was just it was a lot of fun recording with him. So we're really excited about bringing our weirdo synth pop to St. Louis, and we're gonna see what happens with it.
Yeah.
I'm in another group called Mariner that's taken a hiatus, but right now I'm pretty focused on moving Bounce House forward.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that'd be exciting, man. To like especially get the record out there and see what happens, see how people respond to it. And
yeah,
that I've definitely heard the name a lot, being pretty heavily involved in our St. Louis music scene. But yeah, I haven't been able to catch a show yet, but I'll have to do that here real soon. Come out and see you play.
Yeah, and we've it's hard to get any sort of lasting promotion when you don't have a record out on the market for people to reference. So as soon as that comes out, I think we're gonna see a lot of positive reinforcement. Like I said, I'm super stoked about this band. It's different. It's fun. It's not sad music, which is primarily what I've been privy to making up until this point, and it's new for me, and I'm really, really stoked on it. So.
Yeah. So how do you balance the two then? If like you're saying you're doing sometimes 16-hour days or whatever in the shop, like how do you find time to make it to band practices and all that stuff? Like,
well, trying to think of the right word here. The cool thing about being, you know, in this business is I get to play my instrument a lot, you know, whether I'm, I run a repair shop as well, which is a huge part of my income. But yeah, so if you need any amps repaired, hit me up. So, you know, testing out these amps and stuff, you know, I get a lot of time to just play bass, play guitar. So I get to practice then a lot. But, you know, also working in a shop like this, I can pretty much have practice whenever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess when you're your own boss, you can make the rules.
Right. Well, you know, I like to say that I'm the worst boss I've ever had. So I don't give myself a whole bunch of leeway or breaks. But you know, being in this sort of situation, you know, I always have a space to make loud noise, and I think that's, you know, a hurdle a lot of people, you know, struggle to cross, is finding not only the time but the space in which to do it. And you know, balancing it for me up until this point has not been all that difficult. It's been difficult, you know, sometimes to be creative after you work a long day.
Sure.
But you know, most of the time I feel like I can compartmentalize. It's not like I have you know, a ton of like super stressful things that happen to me, but you know, it's grueling. And keeping your mind separated, you know, like when it's time to go to band practice and be creative, not thinking about amps is tough.
Sure.
So you know, it's hard for me to really get those two things separated sometimes, but I think at the end of the day, I do a pretty good job of you know, being creative when I need to be.
Right. So. Yeah, I think that's I used to, you know, I did a lot of supervisor for a while at my job, and I did all that, you know, it was like there was a lot of stuff where I kind of constantly always thought about it, you know, even when I was off the clock kind of thing. And then it's like, I stepped down, and like now I'm just kind of a part of the crew, and it's nice where I can kind of clock out and shut it off and forget about it and stuff. And like, so I'm sure like that's kind of what, like you're saying, is the band is kind of that for you, like is it where you can kind of forget about the shop for a little while and just play and have fun. And
yeah, and you know, that's always been my my goal with my musical outlets. You know, Mariner's been on tour around the Midwest several times, and that's been a ton of fun. And I'm really glad I got to experience that with those boys. It was a great time. But you know, I'm looking forward to getting Bounce House out there on the road too. Yeah. We're ready to go. So we just need to get all the parts in place, and then we're gonna hit the road.
Very cool. That'd be exciting, yeah, man. Get out there and sell that new album. So yeah. I was I'm blanking now. I don't know. I was gonna ask. Forgot where I was going with that now. I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna say. Well, you can so you can find the Bounce House on Facebook also, and
Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yeah, you can, so we're there. So get involved with Bounce House and keep an eye out for that record coming in March. And you know, Mariner is also on Facebook and Instagram.
We're also on Spotify.
Yeah.
If you look up Mariner Bury You, you'll pull up our record that we're really, really happy with. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, and well, yeah, man, this has been a lot of fun to getting to chat and getting to meet you and getting to know a little bit more about Mills Custom Music Company. I was going to ask, do you have advice for those looking to do something, you know, start just even business-wise, like going into business for themselves like that. Is there anything, any tips you've learned along the way doing this?
Be prepared to be broke.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing is you don't really get to keep a lot of money for yourself. It all goes back into your project. So be prepared for kind of a hard lifestyle shift. It takes a lot of dedication, and it takes a lot of self-sacrifice, and that's really been the hardest part for me is kind of reconciling those two things. And another thing is just try to stay positive. Just keep moving forward. There's going to be roadblocks. There's going to be obstacles. You gotta get around them. You gotta go over them. So yeah, those sorts of things.
Yeah. I think have you I mean, I'm sure that's the thoughts come up, but just going back to a regular job and that's the thing. I think about it I do a lot of work for this, but it's I think about times I get down and I'm like, man, it'd be easier just to give it up and quit. But it's something I'm so passionate about. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's everybody gets down, but it's you got to keep on moving.
It happens a lot. It happens a lot to me. It's just you're sitting there and you're like, man, life would be a lot easier if I just did something everybody else did. So you push through it, and you stay true to the work, know, and I mean it's a ride for sure,
Yeah,
so
ebb and flow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're on to bigger and better things right now, though. I think there's a lot of good things coming your way, especially here coming in the new year for 2019. I think a lot of the good things are happening for Mills Custom. So hopefully,
I'm super excited about it. It's this is simultaneously the most fun and the most terrifying thing I've ever done with my with my life. So it's a lot, but it's also a lot of fun.
Sure.
So, and it's very rewarding. And my mantra is whenever I start getting kind of in that headspace, I'm like, this beats waiting tables.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
And so I'm really excited about 2019. I'm really excited about the future of this project and where I'm going to take it.
Yeah, man.
And where my partners are going to help me go. So.
And if you if you need your repair work, if you need a brand new amp or whatever it is, reach out and let Justin know what you need, and we'll take care of you over here at Mills Custom Music Company. Get involved on Facebook and Instagram, and keep an eye out for all the new stuff coming soon. But yeah, man, I truly appreciate you doing this. It's been a lot of fun getting to chat. So
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks. Bye, everybody.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Well, yeah, that was it.